The Sutton couple, married for a little over a year, were in a car speeding erratically down a country road. The husband was terrified, and his wife pleaded with him to stop. He promised lifelong love but broke his promise after discovering her true nature. He tried to escape her constant arguments, but she caught him. Their car crashed and exploded. A husband died in an explosion, leaving his wife unharmed. Seeking a new partner, she approached. Mrs. Sutton sought help from her late husband's financial advisor, Norman. Norman's colleague, Roy, desired to court Mrs. Sutton. Overhearing their conversation, Mrs. Sutton decided to marry Norman. She altered her appearance to resemble Norman's mother to impress him. Norman was captivated by her, and they subsequently married. Addie, Mrs. Sutton, also introduced Norman's friend, Dennis, to one of her friends. Barbara, Dennis, and Norman were incredibly fortunate. Addie feared Norman would leave her if she lost her beauty, but he reassured her of their enduring relationship. One night, Norman discovered Addie working on the computer in the guest room instead of beside him in bed. Norman surprised Addie with a lick to her shoulder, but recoiled at a taste he described as if she were dead. This greatly upset Addie, causing her to cry and shower. Later, Norman saw a monster in the bathroom mirror which disappeared, leaving his wife's reflection. Norman skipped breakfast and rushed to a meeting, claiming it was important. He gave his wife a goodbye kiss, but experienced no sensation of taste or smell, finding the experience unusual. Norman's doctor determined his physical health was fine, attributing his concerns about his wife to emotional stress. Later, Norman found his friend Dennis had left, leaving behind a house with broken light bulbs, which Barbara blamed on Dennis. Barbara warned Addie that Norman would eventually discover her true nature and leave her. Addie didn't believe this warning. Later, Norman initiated a conversation about children, but Addie avoided the topic, and they ended the discussion. Norman briefly smelled an unpleasant odor. He questioned Roy about his wife's behavior, but Roy couldn't offer assistance. Meanwhile, Addie discussed Norman's love for Barbary with Barbary, emphasizing it wasn't based on physical attraction. A woman will remain with Norman, avoiding further appearance changes. Dennis warned Norman his monster wife doesn't love children. Dennis saw Barbara, who looked horrifying and smelled strange, in a changed form. He recognized her true appearance, panicked, and ran into the road, resulting in a car accident. He frequents areas where children play to hide. Dennis panicked upon seeing a strange woman, a reaction Norman found familiar due to his wife's altered scent. Following a funeral, Norman and Addie comforted Barbara, who intends to sell her house and leave town for a happier life, though her destination remains undetermined. Addie distracted her husband, Norman, by putting him to bed. This caused Norman to forget recent unusual events. However, when he hugged his wife, he felt something disgusting and pulsating instead of her skin. Norman pushed his wife away, but Addie tried to convince him that nothing had happened, and she was still his beautiful wife. Norman revisited the doctor, reporting new unpleasant physical sensations when touching his wife, Addie. The doctor attributed this to nerves. Norman felt unworthy of Addie and guilty about their relationship, which began soon after her husband's death. Norman's unusual behavior stemmed from internal issues and is expected to improve with psychoanalysis. After realizing his perceptions of Addie were inaccurate, Norman sought reconciliation by buying her flowers and planning an apology. Addie threw Norman a surprise party, inviting his friends, colleagues, and even his doctor. Roy attended and found the party wonderful. Norman suspected the party wasn't random, believing his wife was hiding something and using the party to have witnesses to his unusual behavior. Barbara also attended, having altered her appearance. Heidi introduced someone to Norman, who was uninterested and left. Roy joined Norman, who expressed suspicion about numerous uninvited guests, believing Addie orchestrated it. Roy disregarded Norman's concerns and returned to the house, where he revealed his desire to find a girlfriend. Roy wanted a lasting relationship, and Addie believed he would be her next husband if Norman left her. Norman later confessed to hallucinations, apologized, and was forgiven by Addie. Following this, Norman opened a gift containing a Matryoshka doll. Norman experienced a hallucination, seeing a monster in his kitchen instead of his wife. He then ran to the bedroom. After calming down, he apologized to his wife, Laddie Creed. Addie, having destroyed the room's light bulbs to hide her true form, confessed to Norman that she and Barbara are aliens whose spaceship crashed, preventing their return home. They chose to remain on Earth and live among humans, and Addie wanted Norman to decide if he wished to continue their relationship. Addie explained that she and others like her use their abilities to appear beautiful to people. Prolonged close contact, however, causes immunity to this effect, revealing their true alien appearance. Addie reminded Norman of his promise to remain with her despite any changes. Norman saw Addie's true form, which horrified him, causing him to flee and require an ambulance. He perceived Addie as a monster, unlike others who saw her as attractive. Later, Addie waited for another victim. Addie altered her appearance to attract Roy's attention. He met her while running, and they went for a run together. Addie hoped someone would love her for who she truly is, allowing her and Barbara to live peacefully. Here's the end. Subscribe for more movies like this. Thank you for watching.